down the basement, lock the cellar door, and baby, talk bloody to me.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Talk Bloody to Me. I'm Matt,
And I'm Breezy.
and this week we're here with another two movies to talk about. We're going to be talking about 2013's Hatchet 3, and we're going to be talking about 2023's Renfield. Both of these feature people we're looking forward to meeting at Crypticon. But first, Breezy, what's going on in the news of horror? It's been kind of a slow news week, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been a very, very slow week. You have said something about Terry or Tara, whatever you
Yeah,
want to
Taro.
say. Taro, okay.
Yeah.
You said that it's actually hitting the box office really, really quick.
Yep. It's apparently it's only like rated 21% on Rotten Tomatoes, so the critics all hate it, but it only had a budget of $8 million and has already made $24 million. So it's like made triple what they spent on it. So even though all the critics say it's dumb, it's raking in the cash. So
Right. Which is
yeah,
pretty good.
yeah, exactly.
I want to go see that one.
Me
And
too.
also, there's another one that me and Matt are planning to go see it in theaters, hoping, is that Violent in Nature with
Yes.
Jason Voorhees, his point of view. So
Yes.
that would be kind of cool to see.
I think we're both very excited to go see that and want to see it in theaters if we can
Mm-hmm.
on opening night, even maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like it comes out on like Friday the 13th, but I doubt it. But
Right. I think it's actually coming out this month, the 31st, I think, Friday.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's about time to have some like these like killers to have like their point of view.
Exactly. And
I like
apparently,
that.
I do too. I think that's a great idea. And apparently, there's some really gruesome killings. And reportedly, one person in one of the screenings threw up. That would probably be me if I was in the screening and I was eating my pizza. I brought my pizza into the screening with
If
me.
we're going to the movies, how about not throw up?
Right. Well, we won't bring any food with. Maybe just some Sour Patch Kids.
Hey,
Well,
you never know. You might throw up but with candy too.
right, exactly. Yeah, so that one's exciting. There's a lot of talk about that one, and I know we're both looking forward to it.
Definitely for sure that one.
hmm So, this week, which one should we talk about first?
We should talk about Renfield.
Okay, we're talking about Renfield, because Carolyn Williams, who is going to be at Crypticon, is in Renfield, and we
And she
talked about.
was and we did talk a little bit on Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 because she was in there,
Yep,
but she was also in Renfield and Hatchet 3.
yep, and so
So
that's why we're talking about these two movies this week. Um,
mhm.
but we Breezy and I watched Renfield and we enjoyed the movie, I think. And then we were like, but where the hell was Carolyn Williams? And then we had to look it up and we're like, where was she? And she's a lawyer and she's really only in it. It's kind of just a cameo appearance,
Mm.
but it is Carolyn Williams. But nevertheless, we watched Renfield. And what do you think of Renfield? I have mixed feelings about it.
I mean, I like it, but I'm not going to say I love it. I say I like it, but yet I hate it.
Yep.
I just like I'm not really too much of a Nicolas Cage fan.
Right.
He did really well in Dracula. I will give him that.
hmm
I do like the action scenes
Yep.
and the music, but
hmm
otherwise I don't really care for it personally. What
Right.
about you?
I am almost in 100% agreement with you, actually, which is funny because we didn't talk about this beforehand. But Nicolas Cage, he kind of annoys me in most of his other movies, but I think Dracula is the part he was born to play because he just
Mhm.
Nicolas Cages it up so much, and it just works good for Dracula. And some of the parts that were really funny, I thought, were him with Nicolas Cage. And I really like the action. I really like the fight choreography and the gore and the special effects. But then the actual like storyline and plot and like the I guess you could say regular parts of the movie, I just was like, ugh, come
Right,
on. Waiting for him to
right.
eat a bug.
Uh I think like in any Dracula movies, well, besides, Brian Stork's, original
Right.
um Dracula, he does play very, very well in
Hmm.
Dracula. I would like to see Nicolas Cage more as a Dracula, you
Yeah.
know, type person because he does a really, really well job with that one. It fits his personality.
Exactly. He's got that kind of over the top personality where he needs to play kind of a larger than life character like Dracula or something like that. Um, but we should probably explain just a little bit. So Renfield is a movie about Dracula's servant. Renfield is his name, and he is a familiar, which means he has a part of Dracula's power, which he can activate by eating a bug and consuming the life force of a bug. And it's kind of a horror comedy in the sense that Renfield is sort of passive, and they talk about codependent relationships and like toxic, like Dracula's a narcissist. And so they kind of introduce all this modern day psychological psychobabble in on top of it. And he goes to like the support group for people in toxic relationships. And then that's kind of where he learns to stand up for himself to Dracula.
Hmm.
And there's a cop who her name is Rebecca, played by Aquafina is her name, and um, they get involved. She's going after these crime lords that killed her father, and they kind of just happen to accidentally run across Renfield, and so they get all intertwined, and there's a little bit of a love interest there. But when Renfield eats a bug, his eyes turn orange and crazy, and he goes absolutely berserk and starts like he doesn't know his own strength. So, like one time, he punches a guy's head right off, and it flies through the door and smashes into the car outside. At a different time, he rips a person's arms off and then throws them and like impales a person with their own with a different person's arms.
The main character, besides, forgot the actor's name, but
Mm-hmm.
he looked so familiar that he was
Nicholas
actually,
Holt, I guess, is his name. Sorry, I didn't mean
yeah,
to interrupt.
yeah. He is actually off of Bodies.
Oh, okay.
I was like, God, he looks so familiar, and I actually looked him up. I'm like, oh, he's from Warm Bodies. That explains why.
Yep. And so the movie starts. Dracula gets attacked by hunters, gets burned. So Renfield relocates to New Orleans, and he's trying to resuscitate Dracula by bringing him victims. And Dracula slowly gains powers throughout the movie. And Renfield went to the support group thinking that he could learn about all these horrible toxic people and then kidnap those people to bring the Dracula. That really only lasts for about 10 minutes of the movie, and then that's sort of just completely abandoned. But one of
Hmm.
the funniest parts of the movie was he was in the support group, and he said like the leader was like, well, what happens if you don't give in to him? And he's like, he won't rise to full power. And he's like, yes, that's exactly right. Wow, that's really weird how you said that, but it's true. That actually made me laugh.
Not the whole movie didn't really make me laugh. I mean, yeah, there was like funny scenes, but it didn't really actually made me like laugh, like like you.
Right. I bought into it
Like,
a little bit.
yeah.
I like when Dracula showed up as at his apartment, at Renfield's apartment, and he was able to go in because in traditionally vampires can't enter unless they're invited, but he was able to go in because Renfield had a big welcome mat that said welcome, come on in. So he was technically invited thanks to the welcome mat. And then Renfield's like, I was gonna come, I was on my way, and Nicholas Cage is like, oh, you were on your way, like all condescending. That part,
Yeah.
that little scene I really liked. I
Oh,
thought that was,
you're on your way.
yeah, exactly. And he's got these big needle teeth, like they got his mouth full of these like sharp needle teeth, and he's all like gothed out. He kind of Marilyn Manson looking Nicholas Cage with
I
needle
I
teeth.
do like that look, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what was something, was there anything you liked about Renfield? What's like an action part that sticks out in your mind?
Honestly, it's just like really no action parts that stick out to me. I just I just like the music.
Yeah, the music was really good in that movie.
I like the music and then the action, but I don't know. Yeah.
So how much many buckets of blood would you rate Renfield?
Oh, geez. I want to say kind of like in the middle, like maybe 6, because I
Yeah,
I like it, but then I hate it.
right. I'd say 6 is exactly what I'm thinking because it's like meh, just kind of middle of the road, but I maybe liked it a little bit more than just completely 50%
Yep.
nonsense. So I give it a 6.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. And Carolyn Williams is the crime boss's lawyer. She shows up for like 5 minutes to get him out of jail, and that's it. But our other movie, oh, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I'm like, why is Caroline Williams in Renfield? I did not see her at all.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, is she really did Crypticon made a mistake?
Yeah.
Or and so we actually looked it up and no, she was actually in the movie like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes.
They have her in, she has big blonde hair and big glasses. And normally I haven't ever seen her with blonde hair like that. So I didn't recognize her.
Yeah, she kind of blended in really well.
Yup. But our other movie that we watched, Hatchet 3 from 2013, Carolyn Williams is front and center and just reminds me totally of how, like, she sounds exactly like Stretch from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Oh
And you
yeah.
can totally tell it's Carolyn Williams. And she's like one of the main characters. So tell us a little bit about Hatchet 3, Breezy.
Oh, you put me on the spot.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since I watched part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really recall the storyline, but Kane Hodder is like the main character
Yep.
and he plays
His name's
Victor.
Yep, Victor Crowley, which always makes me think
Mhm.
of the Ozzy Osbourne, Mr. Crowley. Anyway.
So in part 3, Daniel Harris
Mm-hmm.
like killed him in the beginning of the movie. You see that
Mm-hmm.
that chainsaw goes right down the middle
Yep.
and it kills him. So I'm like, okay, he's got to be dead at this one, but why is he coming back in part 3? Well, obviously he comes in part 3. So
Yeah, he just sits right up. Like, it doesn't matter what they do to him. He just basically
mm,
instantly regenerates.
right.
So the movie starts with her, Danielle Harris, shooting him in the face with a shotgun, and his face is completely caved in, obliterated, and then he slides on the chainsaw, like you said, and yet he still comes back. And later on, they do all
Like the
kinds of stuff.
chainsaw is like going right down, like it starts from his crotch all the way up.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, this is a graphic kind of movie.
Two things about this movie is that, one, it's very violent and bloody, lots of really graphic killing. And the other thing is that the cast is just a who's who of horror stars. You have Danielle Harris from Halloween 4 and 5. And she's also in other stuff too.
Yep.
Carolyn Williams, who we mentioned, Kane Hodder, who played Jason and Friday the 13th Part 7, and I think others.
And you
Is
got
the
Sid.
Yeah, Sid.
Sid came in and maybe like 50 minutes. No, 50 minutes in
Yeah,
or something
Sid
like that.
Haig.
Yep. And then you
Who's
also got Zach Gillian,
Yep,
who played Gizmo. Well, not the Gizmo, but
Billy. He played
Billy.
Gizmo
Yeah.
as the human from Gremlins.
Yep. And he was a police officer.
Yep, he was like a main character. Yeah, Sid Haig is hilarious as always. He could just as easily be Captain Spaulding. It's almost like the same character. But
Pretty much, yeah.
they're just like, Sid, just go be Sid. And he's like, I got it. Yeah. Um, there, and it's just what it honestly seems like is that all these people were at a con together and they said we should make a movie, just all of us, and just pal around and have fun, all us horror people. And Sean Whalen from People Under the Stairs, the kid with his tongue cut out.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I didn't realize that he was in there.
Yeah, he was one of the paramedics. He's the one that says, oh, you get used to the smell. He's like,
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah. And then there's the one actor, and he's Asian, and then the guy says, oh, he kind of looked like you, and he's like, oh, sure, all Asian people look alike. But I looked it up and it's actually the same actor in the other movie, so they were making a joke about it because it was the same person.
Oh,
That's kind
okay.
of clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's one of the more brutal killings you remember from Hatchet 3 besides the saw down the middle?
Yeah, besides that one. But the one scene that I actually texted you, I'm like, don't eat, Matt, before you watch this movie because there's testicles hanging down that tree.
And sure enough, there was. Luckily, I had And honestly, they didn't bother me that bad because it was almost so funny that I like, but it is gross because he even like goes
Well,
boop and kind of like does like a little punching bag move on the cop does.
well, yeah. I was like, oh my god, there's fucking bloody testicles hanging down the tree. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I want to tell Matt this before he starts watching it. Matt, please do not eat before you watch this movie because you might throw up.
I was sitting here with a big bowl of meatballs, just like getting ready to watch. Just getting ready to watch Hatchet 3 and put some gravy on it, some nice red marinara sauce, and got the
Oh
text from
God.
Greasy.
But no, Kane Hodder is just like, ripped and his face is kind of smushed in.
Yeah.
And when I was reading about this particular movie,
Hmm.
I guess like this was Kane Hodder's hardest job to do during this movie.
Oh wow.
And because like the film was shot in Louisiana, which Louisiana is like hot and humid in summer, I
Hmm.
believe.
Oh,
And
definitely.
then he had like 30 pounds of like silicone makeup,
Oh yeah.
pounds of makeup and silicone. My God damn.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Like,
he almost looks a little bit like unmasked Jason from like part 2 or part 3, except like on super steroids and majorly beefed up. Or like the guy from the Goonies. Remember Sloth in the Goonies?
yeah.
Kind of like a horror movie version of him in a way. But I could see how that does be a lot of makeup. And then Louisiana's the swamp, and it's just humid and muggy and bugs and
Yeah. Can
ugh.
you just like imagine wearing 30 pounds of silicone on your body, like all over your body, plus, makeup? God, I can't imagine. That has to be heavy.
Yeah, that takes some of the fun out of it, I'd imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he plays a really good okay Nutter as in Victor. That was a really good one.
Yeah. That was really good. And Carolyn Williams does a really good job. She's like the reporter that's been investigating the story of Victor Crowley, and she's the one that kind of figures out how to kill him for real. And then Danielle Harris is the daughter of the
Mhm.
guy that
Yep.
killed him originally. And so
Yeah, and then
because
she got sat in jail, and her and Carolyn Williams were like they're like kind of like I want to say like kind of bitch to each other,
yeah.
but there was like ooh they're going at it, but
Hmm.
Danielle Harris was like really like in I think she was like younger back then too. She looks
Yeah.
really younger compared to now,
Hmm.
but just her looks was like she was like, well, I would just want I don't care. I want to sit here in jail and I just want to rot or get me out of jail so I can kill him again and make sure.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And then they were thinking because there's all the dead people that Victor killed apparently in part 1 and 2, and they were thinking she did it. So then they keep making all the jokes about, well, at least you got that girl in custody. Like whenever they find dead bodies, they're like, well, good thing you got that girl in custody. Like she's the one that chopped all these people to hung their testicles from the tree.
But well, if it was her, I'm like, well, kudos to her, but I want to find out how she actually did that. But no, it's actually Victor. So
Yeah. And spoiler alert, everyone dies, basically.
well, besides, Daniel Harris at the end.
Yeah, it's kind of
It,
because they do show her breathing. That's how it
I
ends.
thought, yeah, because he slammed her against the tree, and one of the I don't know what she got.
Branches, like a broken branch, like impales her.
Oh, I didn't. Was it a broken branch? Because it didn't look like a broken branch. It
That's
was
what.
like a very sharp knife.
Yeah, it did. It
Who
actually.
knows?
It looked more like a very sharp knife, but why there would be a very sharp knife sticking out of a tree? I just
Right.
assumed it was a broken branch. Maybe the
Well, that.
special effects department
Well,
messed
you
up on
never
that.
know.
Right. There's a lot of
But
crazy
yeah,
crap, so it could have been a knife in the tree that Victor put there earlier.
yeah.
So
No, she was like he slammed her against the tree, and at that time he was like, she. Well, before she got slammed on the tree, she took this like his father's urns or something like that,
his
or his
ashes.
uncle's his ashes, and throw it against on his face on his body, and he was starting to melt
Yep,
or
that
something
was
like
cool.
that. Yep, that was cool. And then after that, he slammed her against the tree, and then he's like, "I hope you die. I hope you die. Get up, you motherfucker. Get up."
She's got like a grenade launcher aimed at him, and he's all every point at this prior in the movie, anytime he's ever been killed, no matter how badly he's been blown up or shot or cut up, he's gotten back up and as good as new. So he's all melted and burned from the ashes because Carolyn Williams figured out that he was looking for his dad and that the descendant of the person that killed the dad had to return it to him. So she returned the ashes by smashing it in his face. And then he melted down, and she's going, "Get up, get up. Come on, damn it, get up, get up."
And I think during that one, she was actually like off the tree at that point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she had the gun. I'm like, and he didn't get up, and he was like, "Fuck it," and she's like, "Fuck this," and or "Fuck you," and just like just shot him.
Blam.
And then it cuts off, and then it shows her breathing again.
Yep.
That was really interesting. I really like that.
Yeah, and that's how it ends.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because it shows her breathing. It's like, and then it stops, and it goes to black, and then it comes back, and she takes another breath.
And then that's it.
And then it goes, yeah. It's really cool. Like, I really liked Hatchet 3.
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna, like Hatchet 3 considering it's the third one, but I know for a fact I've seen the first one, but it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I have never seen Hatchet 1 or 2, but I gathered from this one that it was about Victor Crowley killing a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's all you really need to know. Mm-hmm. But now I want to watch them. They're all on Tubi, so now I want to start back over at 1 and watch them all.
And I think Danielle Harris is on Hatchet 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
I believe so. Well, she's got it because she's in part 3, so.
And I've actually met Danielle Harris and Carolyn Williams at different Crypticons. So when they were on screen together, it was kind of like, hey, I've met both these people.
I have met Danielle Harris, but I didn't get any signatures or pictures. She was a really, really nice woman.
Yes.
I also met Zach Gillian, which he was a really awesome dude.
Oh yeah, I saw him, but I didn't meet him.
Yep. And I also met Kane Hodder also.
Oh, that's right.
His freaking handshake, man. I would never forget the handshake he gave me.
Really?
Yeah, it was like very, very strong, and like how it's not a typical handshake. It's like a hand and a grip. I'm like, holy man.
Yeah.
He's strong.
Yeah. It's like shaking hands with Jason.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any final thoughts about Renfield or Hatchet 3?
Yeah. So on Hatchet 3, how many gallons of blood do you think?
Oh shoot, I already totally forgot. How could I forget? Well, I think in the movie there's about 1,000 gallons of blood flying around because there's an awful lot of blood. But I think I'll give it I was going to give it an 8, but I think I'm going to actually give it a 9 just because it was so fun. I just really had a lot of fun. It's really violent, really gory, really bloody. Not a whole heck of a lot of plot, but yet real fun.
Yeah, there's not really no plot to go with in that movie. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I would say on my end, I would get like 9.5 gallons of blood. Getting towards like 10.
There you go. Almost to the full 10-gallon blood container.
It's like a graphic movie.
It is. It's really... I don't know. It makes me giggle. Just think, apparently the graphic violence makes me giggle. That's all I can say.
You're weird.
Yep.
Well, we all weird, so.
Right. If you're listening to this podcast, you do that already. Yeah. So I think that wraps it up for this episode. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, tell your uncle, tell your uncle's ashes, return them to the killer. Say "talk bloody" to me and smash an urn on their face. Any of these things will help us out.
Yeah, and get those fan requests going too, because we love doing that.
Yes, definitely. And those tend to be the most messed up movies, and sometimes ones we wouldn't have normally thought about doing. So keep the fan requests coming.
All right, see you, y'all.
Thanks.